What's good, Chicago? How's everybody doing? This is episode 207 of the Spawn on Me podcast. I'm your host, Kahlief Adams, and I'm joined this week and every week with my man, my mellow, the smooth kind of fellow, the man who brings all the radiator heat. It is Cicero Holmes. How are you doing, sir?
Yo, my heat is hot and dry, baby. You think that I'll be whistling too. So you think that it would be wet heat, like humidity heat, but nah, it's just dry heat. Be making them sandwiches, grilled cheese sandwiches on the radiators. I'm with that.
Grilled cheese sandwiches on the radiator.
Yeah.
When did
Yo,
this happen?
yo, son, come on.
Really? I didn't know
Yes,
that was a
yes.
thing. Wait, what?
Yeah,
on,
that's
sir.
the thing.
I didn't
Come
know
on,
that
sir.
that was a thing. I totally
Yeah,
didn't know
see-
grilled cheese sandwiches on the radiator was a
See,
thing.
that's how I knew. That's how I know you had a suspect Bronx upbringing. Because if you was in the projects, you knew about government cheese, grilled cheese sandwiches that where the cheese didn't melt. And then when you migrated out of the projects and you got your first crib, it was a crib with a radiator. And because rents are so expensive, all you can have is grilled cheese sandwiches, and you don't want to turn on the gas, so you just put it on the radiator.
So,
Bam, open the window.
with that said, we're gonna go to my other man, my mellow, the same kind of fellow, who will hopefully be able to tell us through his science looks good experiments how actual radiator cheese sandwiches came to be. Sharif Jackson of SharifJackson.com. How are you doing, sir?
Good. And it's simple thermodynamics, heat transfer. That's how
There
it
you go.
works.
There it is.
Though I don't think I did a grilled cheese on the radiator, but I did do a grilled cheese with a iron.
Yes.
Oh.
See, I'm used to that.
Yeah, I've done that where you put like a towel or something over it and you like put that heat on it. So
Yeah,
yeah, I've done it that way.
Yeah, that's how I know. That's how I know you had that Jersey upbringing because you could afford an iron.
That's right. Yeah, I know. I know. I was Garden State.
You got to use an iron.
Irons reign
Right.
aplenty.
You got to
Right,
use
yo.
an iron. I didn't know that
Irons
was
all
a
over the
thing.
place.
I didn't know that. It's one of those things where like so I'm used to the grilled cheese on the iron part. Have you ever ruined an iron doing that? Did you
I've ruined
ruin
an iron doing many things.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
that sounded like a thruster bust move right there. Oh no,
Not
that
a thruster
was-
bust.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just the kind of person where I would like sometimes get those burn marks on the iron.
Oh, I know
which
what
is
you're, I
not-
know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then those burn marks are there, and then you try to iron something that's white or light skinned, and the burn marks get once again thermodynamics, heat transferred onto your clothes, and it's not a good look.
Also, Reef just outed himself by having light skinned shirts. He just said
Yeah, look, man.
he's like
I'm not ashamed.
He had high yellow shirts.
Not ashamed at all. I
That's
like a
reasonable.
diversity of colors.
That's reasonable. So thank you to everyone who is hanging out with us tonight here on Twitch live and everyone in podcast land. Thank you again for coming through this week. And thank you for coming out last week when we were on the front page of Twitch hanging out for Black History Month. Again, if you have not followed a lot of the people who are going to be doing and being a part of that event for this month, you need to go do that on Twitch. And if you need to do that on Twitter as well, there's a lot of great streamers of color who are in that space doing their thing real hard and having fun out there and representing all the people out on Twitch and in Streamland. So definitely go do that stuff and make it happen. Thank you again to everybody who's supporting us on Patreon as well. We have some more dope stuff for you in store on that end too. So it is February. It is Black History Month. It is the time of the year where we get to hang out with each other and talk about our blackness and talk about really dope things. It is also the time of the year where someone acts the fool because they feel like it is just that part of 2018 where they can do so. And it feels like the person who is like at the helm of the no fucks ship is Twitch's main man right now, Dr. Disrespect, who is, if you have not heard of Dr. Disrespect, he is right now the most like popular streamer on Twitch at this point. He is pulling in unbelievable numbers. He had left about a month ago after some infidelity between he and his wife. took some time off, and decided that he was no longer going to stream for a bit and try to get his house in order. He made his return this past week on Monday to the tune of, at least when I started to watch some of his stream in the beginning until maybe like an hour or two, he was at maybe 400,000 viewers on the front page of Twitch. Yeah. And he had made at least 10 grand in donations within an hour. It was pretty massive how much money he had made. And it seems like he came back to some even not bigger controversies, but another version of controversy. If you had seen his Twitter, or you had seen some tweets the other day, a gentleman named Jimmy Fwang, or Jimmy JF Wong, who is a actor and filmmaker over at it was Video Game High School, which was a really popular YouTube channel and video set. They had a whole bunch of different videos that they did that was really cool, a lot of special effects, and kind of took that version of YouTube filmmaking to another level, which was really interesting and really cool. He kind of shouted out the fact that Dr. Disrespect, in a lot of his videos or a lot of his Twitch streams, would use this faux Asian accent or faux Chinese accent, and he would try to mock folks when he would play them with this accent, because sometimes you'll cross over from one server to another, and you'll wind up in another region, and you'll have players from that region who are of Asian descent or who are speaking other languages, and he would go into this really fake, terrible accent. Has anybody seen or besides me? I know I've watched some of his streams and stuff like that. Have either one of you watched his stuff? Reef, have you seen any of Dr. Disrespect stuff?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of his stuff when he was nominated for that Trending Gamer on the Game Awards.
Right.
Because I never heard of him, to be honest. But I started watching some of his stream, and it kind of seemed like the kind of stuff that wasn't really for me, kind of like super silly, and I did see some of the accent stuff even then. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, this is another Logan Paulish kind of person that is meant for a much younger audience that is just not me, so I kind of took it as something where I was like, all right, he's not being harmful, he's just corny,
right.
But then when I saw this story, I was like, no, this guy's actually being harmful. He has this huge range, and he's just unabashedly doing these accents and then doubling down on them when people call them out on it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, there are, I always get worried in certain games like a PUBG, which, does have a big Chinese audience, and games like StarCraft, which have a big Korean audience. I do worry always about, there being racial, just racial remarks. And this is just a case where, somebody thinks that they can just get away with it. And, I'm just hoping that this is another case where, one of these big range partner people actually pay for their actions, and we'll see what happens. But, if history serves us well, something will happen, but history has shown that it hasn't happened all the time. I know Twitch is kind of doubling down with some new community guidelines, so I know that they're not in effect as of right now, but hopefully this is the kind of stuff that can get stomped out, whether you're a partner with 400,000 views or somebody with 5 views.
Right. So. Word. C, what do you think about that? What do you think about this whole Dr. Disrespect?
Well, look. So I guess first things first. I found out about that Dr. Disrespect. When I started to investigate the hoopla and the hype around PUBG. I didn't play PUBG for the first time until December, when it released on the Xbox One X, mistitled Xbox One Infinite, and then
still on it in 2018.
It will never die. Good names never die. So I got to see him, and so if obviously when you take a look at him, immediately you can kind of tell. Well, you're not sure. At least I wasn't sure if he was satirizing the dude bro phenomena, or if he was like, just a dude bro, and he was satirizing those people who satirize the dude bros.
Right.
And maybe it started as the former and it's turned into the latter.
Yeah.
Because look, the guy goes out there, he finds his audience, he is the dude broiest of the dude bros. And part of his stick is to, disrespect and kind of talk down to his audience, and sometimes he to borrow a wrestling term, he breaks kayfabe, and he'll actually talk from his heart, or talk about his life as he did when he wound up leaving Twitch for a month to get his house in order. But the thing is that when things like this happen, whether this guy is playing a character or whether this is who he is, this is just an extension of his personality, this is to be expected. These types of things, based on the type of person that Dr. Disrespect is supposed to be. We can get mad, and in much the same way that we got mad about the things that PewDiePie did, and all the other assholes that were out there, and not to say that white men have they have exclusive reign, they have the trademark on being an asshole, they own the copyright. They kind of do have a stranglehold on the market. Like, if you've got a white dude on the internet, especially one that is streaming video games, the likelihood of him being an asshole is pretty high. And it's people like our homeboy Grand Pooh Bear that's not an asshole, that is really kind of the anomaly in the white guy out there streaming games on the internet. And so, like, I'm not surprised by this. We can yell and scream and be angry about it and talk about protesting him and all that jazz. But the reality is, until he has something to lose, he's not going to change his behavior. He's not going to see that there's anything wrong with his behavior, because he's getting donations from his community. He's fine.
But the thing is, it shouldn't matter whether he sees it or not. The platform that he's using to make money off of, that's the rules that should, cause him to falter. I don't care about whether he has some understanding that what he's doing is wrong, because I think people like that never do. But if he's using Twitch should be like, yo, that's against our community guidelines. We can't bang with you.
Well, hold on one second, because I want to play the clip. For the audience at home, because we're going to talk about some of the community stuff and what Twitch is doing, what they've kind of said they're going to do in the next couple of weeks. But I want to play the clip from what he said after being called out about it, and then he had a response to his viewers this week.
Please don't tell me that guy's going to be a politician.
Let me refresh it for everybody real quick.
All right.
Got friends I can call right now that are multicultural, multiracial. I love it. Mrs. Assassin, my wife, multiracial. All the way from the small island of Molokai. Lots of Filipino blood. I love it. And you got this idiot on Twitter. This idiot searching for this desperate for attention wannabe idiot, right? Trapped in a box, trapped in a gated community, a private school, if you will. Clueless. absolutely clueless. And you know what? We don't pay attention to those guys at all. You can go on my Twitter and see what you can see what the focus is. You can see what the whole bannering is about. If you read his Twitter feed, it's laughable. It's comedic. Please, don't tell me that guy's going to be a politician.
So he doubles down.
Yeah,
and he does the like, but I got friends who were blah blah blah, this and that, and go ahead. I know you two we're having a back and forth. I'll let you kind of jump back in on.
I mean that's what I'm saying. Is somebody like that, I don't expect him to grow as a person. Like, he's old enough. He is who he is. I don't care. What I care about is him using a platform that should have something that they stand by in terms of these guidelines, how they want people to be treated, and like how they, look at different kinds of language that you use. I'm not trying to let him off the hook. I mean, I think he's an asshole, and I don't think people like that should be able to profit off of certain platforms. Now, if he wants to build his own platform or go to some freaking alt-right version of Twitch or something, whatever. But like, when he's going to something that claims to be against this stuff, that's what I have a problem with.
I guess my question to both of you is, because I've probably consumed more of his stuff than either of you have. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of me that for a while actually kind of liked his shtick, right? Where he was basically the like cover of Far Cry Blood Dragon. Like, come to life. Like, he was he was that person. He was like trying to embody, it was like a satire, right? It was embody the 80s kind of, Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger hand clap, pump the fist thing.
Nice.
And it was interesting, the fact that this specific thing was finding a home on the front page of Twitch, where a lot of people didn't get that version of it, but they did get the bravado, which was the thing that I'm sure pulled in a lot of people that like his stuff. And it was funny because like, I'd hear people who I respect who are like our age who would be like, oh, I watch Dr. Disrespect stuff because he seems like he has something here that's pretty interesting, in whatever way it may be. I'm trying to figure out was there a way for him to have addressed this in a reasonable way, even though he's done this thing? You see, because he went left. Well, he didn't do the actual thing that he should have done. But what would have been the reasonable way to kind of address this?
Well, I think this is the disconnect for us and for you, Ka, is that he believes he did respond to this in a reasonable way, by just kind of laughing it off. Like, look, guys, I can't possibly be racist because I've taken pictures. It's the Don Jr. defense. My dad can't possibly be racist because he takes pictures with rappers and other sundry black folks. So, but that's the thing. And it's a classic excuse used by many people that are, not within our diaspora to kind of explain away any type of problematic thing that they do from here into eternity. And to be fair, in his heart of hearts, I don't believe that Dr. Disrespect is a racist asshole. He's an asshole's asshole, but he's not a racist asshole. I don't think he is. But it's the danger in it is not understanding how tone deaf you sound when you say things like, I can't, this is ludicrous because my wife is may or may not be of Asian descent. I've got, I've got a whole contact list full of multicultural people that I can call on look, some of the most racist things that I say are to my girlfriend, who happens to be white. So those are the things it doesn't excuse away any of the things that you do. I disagree, Reef, with Reef. I understand exactly what you're saying. I understand your want to have Twitch be a safe place for all people. But I would walk back from the comment of saying that Twitch should do something like that. Twitch should be putting some type of sanction or some type of he should get some kind of demerit for using a voice and then not apologizing for it, because it was problematic. It could be construed as being racist, but it wasn't blatant racism. And we've seen it. Like,
I don't know about that.
I'm sorry, dude. It was pretty blatant.
That's racist.
I disagree with you.
Racist.
Okay. All right.
That's super racist.
And like, I would agree with you if Twitch did not have guidelines that specifically went against it. If like they were like, hey, we're a freewheeling site and we support free speech in all aspects, and I'd be like, okay, this is the kind of crap that you have to deal with in that kind of environment. Right. But they're trying to project themselves as, more progressive than that, and this is the time when the rubber hits the road. It's, I don't know. That's my view on it.
My bigger issue is with the fact that Twitch has promoted Dr. Disrespect in a way that we've not seen since probably Man versus Game, which is interesting also because it seems like all the folks who wind up getting the top spot on Twitter, on Twitch at some point, wind up burning themselves out with some version of a controversy. Man versus Game had to take some time off for drug abuse. Now we see Man versus Game with infidelity, and now with some racism topped onto it, like racist sprinkles on ice cream. So it's like, it feels like there's this level of like, once you get to a certain level on Twitch, all your real shit comes out, and then it fucks up. Because my thing is like, you don't just come up with this thing as a gag. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a thing that you do randomly one day and then keep going with it. You go with it because it's something that you might have done before.
It comes from somewhere.
It comes from somewhere. It doesn't come from somewhere. And it's weird because like I was looking up his information, right? And he was he used to work for Sledgehammer Games on some of the Call of Duty games as a map designer, I believe. And it's like you can see the kind of transition from that to this. And I wonder if this is, again, I guess it's racist. I think it's racist. It's absolutely racist. Two, it feels like this is the spotlight going to your head a lot, where you feel like you can do this and get away with it. But also, again, Twitch has known about Dr. Disrespect for a long time. There's a vetting process that goes along with getting sponsorship. There's one that goes along with getting the kind of promotion that you get when you get flown out to TwitchCon, when you get flown out to do press events, and all the other folks who are supporting him, G Fuel, and all the chair people who are giving him stuff, and Razer, which has its own problems, and all these other people who are like, you have to have seen this content somewhere. It's not like it's not a one-off when there are like numerous videos of it on the internet. So that makes me think that, again, somebody at some point let this slide, kept letting it slide until they figured out, well, if he just pulled in 10 grand in donations in an hour, how much of that did we get?
People watching.
How much of that bottom line did they get off that? Which is which is a whole other issue in and of itself, right? So you promote Black History Month on one end, but then you also have this other side of the thing where you have your top streamer basically having all these racist moments on your platform. There's a lot of stuff in there to kind of dig through. And I feel go ahead, Ray.
And I also do think that racism against Asians in America is not always taken as seriously.
Yep,
that is true. As that racism against African Americans, against Jewish Americans, or even against like Latinos. And I can guarantee you, if it was something where like he was trying to imitate one of those groups, I think he would have faced more immediate.
And he already has. He does faux Mexican, faux Spanish.
Oh my God.
On his stream too.
Right. But again, this is so, like, I hate to harp on it, and I hate to be the one that actually I kind of love it, but to be the one who talks about, like, I understand the idealized version of what you're saying, and I agree with that, but the reality is that not only is he speaking to an audience, much like our president, not only is he speaking to an audience, he's speaking with his audience, and his audience speaks this way. And I'm not saying that it's right, but part of the reason that he won't be penalized is because the people that are the gatekeepers, the people that are responsible for making sure that this type of stuff is curated in a way, understand that. They understand that this not small subset of this community sounds exactly like this guy, and they're not emulating with him. They're not emulating him. They're conversing with him. And we've, much to our chagrin, we have to understand that. And I think that when we understand that, we will have we'll better be able to equip ourselves with the tools and the weapons to combat this type of just asshattery.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff to kind of dig through, and we again hope that Twitch is going to, figure out better ways to moderate this stuff, and also to make sure that this stuff doesn't really get any more traction, because that's what it is. It's like, once you give someone that kind of space to run rampant like that, then there is no really putting it back in the bottle, and you can't now, because you've given that space so much air to breathe. So speaking about Twitch, and they have put out, or at least proposed, some new policies about sexual harassment and sexual content. Speaking of folks who are problematic streamers, Trainwreck, who had his quote unquote titty streamers rant a couple months ago, he's another problem in there. Caught some flack and got a 5-day ban because of it. And we've seen over the past couple of months, and especially, when you get to front page and you're on there and you see a lot of the stuff that comes into your feed, you wonder, are people kind of maintaining any decorum or maintaining any rules in the back of the house about what can be said and what can be done on the platform? It seems that they've taken some steps towards that, or at least are trying to, where basically you can get caught out there. If you do some stuff offline, you can be held accountable on the platform itself through a ban, a lifetime ban, an immediate ban. There's a couple of things in the article from Kotaku about this that I want to read off really quick. It says that they will be looking at contextual elements such as stream titles, camera angles, emotes, panels, attire, overlays, and chat moderation, offering access to prohibited sexual content such as lewds, or on Twitch remains prohibited. Some Twitch streamers maintain alternate revenue streams tied to activities such as camera performances. They also talked about attire, which was, again, the whole conversation about women who supposedly are making more money on Twitch because they are just showing their breasts in the camera. They said, let's see, that they're going to, they had one about nudity and conduct involving overtly sexual behavior. But they said their new policy warns that streamers cannot wear attire intended to be sexually suggestive. Among the clothing specified are undergarments, intimate apparel, exposing or focusing on male or female genitals, buttocks, or nipples. Twitch blog post expands on those rules by offering a loose dress code. Attire in gaming streams must at home streams, and all profile channels imagery should be appropriate for public street, mall, or restaurant. As a reminder, we will not tolerate using this policy as a basis to harass streamers on or off Twitch, regardless of whether you think they are breaking this rule, the blog post said. So, yeah, I think that this is definitely going to discriminate more against women either way. Because then you have to try to figure out what version of suggestive is suggestive, and what version of what version do you think is going to be appropriate, dependent upon what version of rule set are we going to be using here It's an interesting move. And there's one last thing I wanted to read about that. It says additionally, I'm sorry. It says that, let me find that one part.
You need some reading glasses?
I have my reading glasses on. You shut up. I know how to read. Let's see. Twitch does take action in infractions even against high-profile cases, and harassment. Inciting behavior have resulted in mere suspensions. Last year, one streamer went on a rant about what he was talking about against the titty streamers, quote unquote. And what Twitch went and came back with was that that they will not be monitoring other platforms in specific ways. So when you file a report, users can then provide documentation that illustrates harassment from any source. So it means they'll be looking at not only their own platform, but we've seen it happen before where, streamers have multiple places where they go. So a lot of times people will take their stuff from Twitch, move it over to YouTube, and also bounce the stuff off Twitter. So like if you had beef and you started on Twitch and you wound up over on Twitter, someone can see that and say, okay, you're using that to harass another streamer that is on our platform, and they may take action against that. So that's interesting. That's a new twist to kind of moderating your own platform in other spaces too. What do you think about that, C? Any thoughts about how that's going to kind of look?
Man, I feel a certain kind of way about it. I mean, it is so. On the one hand, you don't want someone to be harassed, right? These are all social media platforms, and they have their different arms of kind of the same thing. So you don't want someone to be on stream and be harassed by a user or a group of users and then leave that stream and then try to fall back onto Twitter or just checking things out and then continue to be harassed by that same group of people. But at the same time, it has the potential of being arbitrary. If Twitch has an axe to grind against a particular user, whether it be their the streamer that, as the harassee or the harasser, there's a lot of wiggle room and a lot of the ability for them to be discretionary, or gives them a lot of discretionary room to determine how someone can be penalized. So I always kind of worry about those things.
Yeah. Reef, what do you think?
I don't know, but I think that's the responsibility of any platform. Like, I agree. The platform has the power, and you should only use a platform if you agree with how they, use that power. And yes, I do agree. You do have to trust that, Twitch has put down laws that they themselves can abide by as well, and that, and that they won't abuse it. But I think that this is fine. Personally, I don't have any problems with this. I think that they need to protect their brand, and they need to make sure that it represents what they want it to represent. And the people that use it should agree with what Twitch wants their platform to represent. I do agree, Kyle, with what you said in terms of what is suggestive or not. I do think that they need to be a little clearer. Perhaps, I know this might sound crazy, but perhaps even something a little closer to not a dress code in terms of what you can wear, but a dress code in terms of what you obviously cannot wear. And they kind of got on that. But my worry is that, much like we've seen in the news with people like Teacher Bay and News Bay and this stuff, your body type plays a huge role in terms of what's considered suggestive or not.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So if there's a woman with a large chest that's wearing a regular shirt, somebody like Trainwreck would call her like a titty streamer.
Right.
Just because it's 90 degrees in the house and she's just wearing a regular shirt.
Right.
So I think that they do need to be a lot more clear, because I think that what this is has the danger of doing is penalizing people for, being more shapely and like curvy, and like wearing things that people of other body types can get away with.
Personally, and we had this conversation, I guess, a while ago when Twitch came out with these, the first set of broad rule sets, and I want to shout out Easy Peasy in the chat, who's talking about just the puritanical obsession that Americans especially have with sexuality. And when we say sexuality, let's really be honest. It's women's sexuality and the agency that women can have with their bodies. And while I do think it's a little disingenuous for women to come on and wear whatever G-strings, or not G-strings, but bikini tops, or whatever it is. I think it's just disingenuous to say, oh, I'm just out here streaming, I'm just gaming. Look, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Is really kind of my point. Like, I may not like it, I may not go and watch them, but I don't necessarily, from an idealistic standpoint, I don't have a problem with quote unquote titty streamer. Like, if that is the way that, if you're gonna go out there and game and you're okay, like, no one's coercing you to dress this way or to do this thing. If this is the way that you want to make your living or supplement your income by doing this, and people are willing to pay you, then go right ahead. It's not illegal. Go and do it.
Yeah. The other part of this conversation that I find interesting that I don't think anybody's really touched on yet is when because this is starting to get to a level where they're talking about kind of blocking out call out culture too in some ways, which I am not a huge fan of call out culture, but I feel like when you start to take things in a direction where you're like, if you are offline and you are not on our platform and you are saying things to another streamer that are, could be construed as being harassment, or could be construed as doxing, or, right, any of that stuff, where does that line kind of go? Because look at it, like, for real, we just called out Dr. Disrespect on our show. I promoted on Twitch and on Twitter. I wonder if someone could then take that clip and say, "What? But I'm saying, but look at it this way. It's not like I'm chasing dude down and being like, yo, you mad racist. But I'm saying, if you took some level of calling someone else out, and we've seen the folks that we roll with, I will gladly put up my SJW hand and put it on a stack of Willamette Weeklies. Right. But it's like, I could do that stuff and have a lot of people who follow me, who follow all of us in the crew, and you've seen a snowball happen where you've said a provocative tweet that other people have picked up on and have run with, and that can be construed as dogpiling, or that can be construed as harassment. So I wonder how that's going to look in terms of folks who are in that space, who are doing that moderation and trying to figure out where their boundaries are and how that works. Because again, like you said, Reef, it's very, very just like in the ether of like, what are the actual rule sets and where are the goalposts? Go ahead, Reef. You look like you wanted to.
Yeah, but I think in terms of harassment, I don't think anything we've said, calling somebody out is not harassment. Like,
I don't know. Like, it could be.
It is not, in no sense of the word, is that not harassment if you said you did something and I disagree with you.
Fake news.
That's not harassment. Like, we have conversations every week about stuff that we disagree with. Most shows talk about stuff they agree with or disagree with. It's how you handle it. Now, like, if like we were like, contacting this dude or telling everybody to like get at this dude, then you might have a different story. But if we're just saying, yo, this guy did something messed up, that is not. I don't think that is I don't think you have to worry about that being.
I don't think that
constraints.
it's going to be a thing. I'm just trying to look at it from multiple angles and seeing, we live in very interesting times in which a lot of people don't understand how actual cause and effect work. People jump into conversations way late all the time, don't get any context, don't understand how facts work. So it's like you have to then kind of pull yourself back a step and say, how will someone else how will they view this through their prism, and will that prism cause some harm or injury to yourself in some way? It's happened before. I've seen it, and I've been in one of those sessions where I called somebody out on something and they felt it was dogpiling because I'm lucky enough to have a fairly okay amount of followers on Twitter. So it depends. So I don't know.
I think people will do that. I just don't think that the company would do that. So, all right. So you got.
Yeah. No. I was just going to say that I think that harassment is subjective. Like you can look at the word and what is meant by it and everything else, and say, well, clearly I'm not harassing someone. I'm just pointing out facts, or I'm just, making a critique of that person. And I feel like, yes, that could be true, but there are plenty of people who have been critiqued. Again, let's look at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That guy is the most harassed person on earth because he is critiqued all the time because of the things that he does. He is justifiably critiqued, but if you hear him speak on it, he is being harassed. He is being
but that's not like, I don't know. I don't think
right. It's not right. It's not real. It's not right, and it's not real for you. And and to be honest, I don't think it's real for him. But when he goes out and he talks to other people, when he talks to his sheeple,
right,
it's real for them.
Right.
So when they come back, and when he sicks his dogs believe that he's the only one with meat.
Yeah, I don't believe that he's being harassed either. But I feel like C said, there are a subsect of people who totally feel that if you tell them the truth, they are definitely being harassed.
Yep.
And other people who are in that space will jump in there and feel like, yeah, you are definitely doing the harassment. It's a weird thing. It's not real for people who are reasonable, but we're all reasonable.
I think we're coming from, I guess we're having different conversations because I'm talking about an organization defining harassment and you guys are talking about individuals.
Fair.
Defining harassment.
But if the organization can determine that you're not being harassed, but if you continually go back to them, and especially if you're someone of note on their platform, if you keep going back to them and you keep saying that I'm being harassed because these people are saying X, Y, and Z, eventually something's got to give.
And also another point to that, Reef, because I'm happy you brought that up, and I think we are talking about the same thing in some ways. Where yes, you do have the internet culture version of that, you do have the establishment business entity version of that as a platform of that. But again, we've seen in the past 2 years or so, all the stories that have come out about who are the people who are in charge, who are the sleeper cell right-wing people, who are the people who are the folks who are at these companies who don't think like we do and don't feel like social justice is an actual thing to care about. We've seen some strides coming from Twitch, but we've also seen a lot of, let the people run wild and do whatever the fuck they want until something goes wrong. So this is me saying that I don't have enough faith and I don't know yet about who are the people who are going to be touching those buttons behind the scenes, who are going to be those moderators. It's more about that than it is about me trying to, me being kind of extra cautious in thinking about call-out culture from a reasonable standpoint. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to balance that out in my head too of like, well, I don't know who those people are yet. we don't know who the gatekeepers are on the moderation space, because we haven't seen them until we started doing the Black History Month stuff, or stuff that Tanya was doing when she went to Twitch, or some of those folks. Like, we're still trying to figure out who those people are and if those people can be trusted. So we're gonna hold off on that discussion for now. Shout out to Mega Ran, who just jumped in the chat. Shout out to Mega Ran.
My twin is in the building.
Nice. You came in right when we were about to take a break. Awesome. So we're gonna take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 207 of the Spawn Me podcast. Thank you for all hanging out during our break and for chilling with us in the cut. We are super happy to have you here. We have one last story for episode 207, and it's something that we're gonna end it on a really high note. Something that we talked about a couple of times over the past couple of weeks in terms of Overwatch and Overwatch League. It seems to be that Overwatch League is going to get its first woman player into the league for the Shanghai Dragons. Overwatch player Gaguri, who is a what character does she play? I remember it.
Zarya,
yes, favorite, one of my favorite characters. Zarya, she's a Zarya main and one of the best on the planet. Seems like she's going to be jumping in and jumping into the league, which Mr. Cicero Holmes called
this great stubnosticated
himself into that joint. And talked about it and got it in there. I want you to kind of jump into this first and talk about your feelings on this one.
Well, look, I'm happy that it happened. Obviously, like we talked about it a few weeks back, and I was saying that, it was terrible that it hadn't happened already, but that it was going to happen quickly, because these things move quickly like that. And it's a thing that happened. I believe that she's going to go in there and she's going to kick ass, because she is a kick ass player. She's, one of the best players for that character in the world. And then whatever type of myth that needed to be busted, whatever type of stereotype that pre-existed that, prevented these other team owners from signing women, will be shattered, and you'll have women in there because they're players. They're video game players. There is no strategic physical advantage that men have over women when it comes to playing video games. So players are players. All you need to do is have the ability to play this game at a high level, and you should be able to play it professionally. Done.
Word. Reef, what do you think?
But okay, first of all, it's one woman. Like, I agree. She's the most high profile pro female player. She's the one that people were talking about, but I don't want Overwatch League to be feeling themselves too much after this. That's one woman.
Right.
In your whole, and not only that, she's going to one of the worst teams in the whole Overwatch League that has not won a game yet.
I'm not mad at that though. She could be the GOAT. Like, she could be the person that turns that team around.
She could be the Jackie Robinson, the Barack Obama,
or she could be the Anthony Davis, or the Mitch Richmond of this team, where like she puts up the numbers and she's really good, but they say, well, our team sucks.
Right.
She's in a hard position because she's really good. She's going to get a ton of attention, both like positive and negative. Who knows if the players and or the coach are 100% on board with it based on some of the statements that we heard from like some of the other people that we reported on in the previous weeks, where like people were essentially saying that, the league isn't ready for this and you got to live with the teams and this chemistry and they menstruate and oh my God. So like, I don't want them to feel themselves too much. Like, this is a great start that, yes, you got the freaking like top pro player that you should be embarrassed that you didn't have at the beginning, or like didn't even try to get. Yeah. But let's keep the momentum going,
I gotta
and so I'm happy for it, but at the same time, I'm like, clap, now get to work and get some more.
I gotta give props to Puss Gums in the chat for saying she's an off tank player, diva, and Roadhog as well. I believe that's what you were trying to allude to, which is great.
Yeah, Yeah. No, I thought of like Zarya because there was a story where people literally thought that she was cheating.
Yeah, she was so
because she was
good.
so
Right,
good.
right, because she was so good.
And she basically had to like make a video showing her kicking ass, and then like people were like, "Oh, okay."
Well, here's my
Right.
question. Here's my question. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, C.
No. Go ahead. No. Well, I was just going to say this. So, Reef, you're 100% right. But like I said 3 weeks ago, it's it's a shame that was a conversation. It's a shame that it's a conversation now that we're talking about the first woman in a video game. I mean, this is it's not the NFL. It's Overwatch. Like people should be able to play. Period. Right. But in 3 weeks, they were able to course correct. So I believe, again, I will preach patience. It's a shame that I have to preach patience because it should already be done. But I will say yet again to Chicago, be patient. Things will change. It'll be fine.
My quick question to both of you before we get up out of here is, do you think that Overwatch League is going to do anything special for her arrival? Do you think that they're going to do any extra promotion because she's joining the league? And do you feel like this is going to be something that brings an influx of women to the league and into viewership? I'll start off with you, Reef.
I do think that they will market it because I think that the reason that they made this move was not because they got enlightened, but because they saw a marketing opportunity. I just kind of see it in a cynical way, kind of like that. So I think that they're going to market the hell out of this. Expect the commentators to focus on her a lot. And expect their, like during the pre and like post game stuff, expect them to talk about it a lot as well. And I think it will be inspirational. I mean, I think sometimes you just need that person in the thick of it doing stuff for it to be real. Overwatch has a pretty diverse like community in general. And yeah, I definitely think that like seeing somebody on there doing well is going to be a inspiration. It can also have a con because if she's there and she's getting just crapped on like the whole time, not in terms of the game, but like by the commentators, by the players, like we already had like a one player that was like suspended for a homophobic like remark. Who knows what kind of remarks that like they're going to be making to like her actually during the games as well. So I think let's
just hope that Dr. Disrespect isn't in the house when she's playing.
Oh my God. I hope there's pros and cons, but the pros do outweigh the cons, and I'm glad that she's there because again, she's an amazing player and she deserves to be featured in this league.
Word. C, last word on this before we go.
So you said will
they promote it?
Blizzard do anything? Will Blizzard promote it? Will they do anything special? Will it inspire other women? My answers are no, yes. It is. Will they promote it? They probably will promote it. I don't think they should. Like I really am against making a big deal out of it because it shouldn't be one. And I can't emphasize that enough. But they may. I would hope that I would love for the media to make a big deal out of it. I don't want I would if I had my druthers, I would tell I would be I would be leaking like a sieve if I was Blizzard to every media outlet that would listen and talk about it so that they could run tons and tons of stories in the gaming press, but not directly from Blizzard, not directly from the Overwatch League. So that they could allow the messaging that they want to get out without them actually doing it to make a big deal out of it. And just allow her to be another player amongst all the other players. But I think if they did it, if they went that route and people were paying attention to the media surrounding Overwatch, the Overwatch E-League, that may interest other women, and in terms of getting them to view and watch it and gain a level of mainstream acceptance for the league itself. I think that would be the best way about going about things. So
nice.
Okay.
So we're about to get up out of here. Again, thank you to everyone who has listened to the show tonight here on Twitch and in podcast land. And before we go, just like every show, I'm going to give it to Brother C to give us with the soda media. The soda media
business? Soda media business from Buttweed. Otay. Social media business is as follows. If you want to follow us on Twitter, go to @SpawnOnMe. If you want to follow us individually, check the bios. Our information is right there. Check us out every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/SpawnOnMe. And then catch us every Tuesday on the podcatcher of choice. If it is a place where you can rate and review, please do so. And obviously subscribe, tell all your friends. If you want to send us a message that is more than however many characters Twitter allows nowadays, send us an email at spawnonmepodcast@gmail.com. And while you're subscribing to things, if you want to support us even further and get some dope stuff like Spawn on Me After Dark, make sure you check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/SpawnOnMe.
Word.
We're gonna hit folks with a quick raid before we get up out of here too, for everybody who's listening on Twitch land. So we're gonna do that, and every day we're gonna say peace, love, hair grease, and we up out of here. Thank you for listening this week and every week. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.